Good morning from JB's Brick Shack, Julia Carroll. Today is Monday, January 19th, 2026, and it is day 5 of Carnivore. And I'm going to start it with, this is what I got from my Bible a Day calendar, and it really touched my heart. But now, this is what the Lord says. He who created you, Jacob, he who formed you, Israel, do not fear, for I have redeemed you. I have summoned you by name. You are mine. Isaiah 43:1. That touched my heart because, you start something new, anything new. My case, it's carnivore. And you get this fear because as you start researching and looking at a bunch of different YouTube channels, you will find there are weird things that crop up. People who do carnivore are not 100% in agreement with other people who do carnivore. And then you have doctors who are very in favor of it, doctors who are absolutely not in favor of it at all. You have people that say vegetables and fruit are actually harmful to your system, and doctors who say no, they are not harmful to your system. You have people that are like, eat a lot of fat, and then you have other carnivores saying, well, you might not need to eat as much fat. If you want to burn the extra fat on your body, don't use as much fat when you cook. So it can bring fear. So when I read that this morning, I have to admit, I kind of calmed down a little bit because I do feel like that's the Lord saying, it's okay, I got this. Just keep going what you're doing and it'll work out. So that was very comforting to my heart and what I needed. So what I will say on day 5, what I have noticed working well and maybe the one thing that is not working so great yet. What's working well, what I have noticed is still the cravings nil. I did have a dream about frozen potatoes last night, so I'm not sure what that means. I don't think I want frozen potatoes because I don't want frozen French fries. I seldom want that. So maybe it's just the devil putting a little thought in my head. But the lack of the cravings, top notch. I'm pleased as punch about that. The other thing that is getting really well is my left knee pain is getting noticeably better. It's not as painful to get up and walk around. As you can see, I'm sitting down, and I'm sitting because I just walked around my living room a little bit after breakfast because I hear, walk a little bit after breakfast so your body will burn the fat you ate, not necessarily, or the glucose or whatever, help it burn whatever you've just ingested. So I'm trying to do that. And up to this point, I have about 1,000 steps in, which is pretty good for me. And I know for a lot of people, it's not a lot, but to begin with, it's good for me to start. It's a start. The other thing that's working really well is because of the weight, because of the overall body pain, any type of standing is very painful. I went to church yesterday and did a worship service, and I noticed my standing during worship was not as painful, and I need to stand about 25 minutes because I sing about 5 or 6 songs, and that takes about 25-30 minutes of worship. And I'm only 53, so I am vain enough to be like, I don't want to sit down during worship because that feels disrespectful to God, and frankly it feels I shouldn't have to or shouldn't need to sit down during a 20-minute worship service, 30-minute worship service. I should be able to stand through that time. So I force myself to stand there, but I'm going to admit it gets to be by kind of the second to last song, somewhere in there, I am starting to kind of pray, oh Lord, you need to stop the music because I need to sit down. So I'm assuming and hoping that every week it will get better and better and better, especially as I start to increase my walking. We've had some beautiful days here lately, and I got my dog out to walk. And again, I don't go far, but I'm getting out and walking, what I wasn't really doing for the last almost year and a half. So it's an improvement. Everything is just about the little improvement. The one thing that maybe I would say is not going as well, I've discovered when you eat really high fat, lots of meat, especially beef, that is so satiating, so filling. I'm having trouble getting enough calories. I have the Weight Watchers app, and I'm specifically using it for the calorie content. So I can see how many calories I'm eating, how many carbs, how many fat, how much protein, to get an idea. And I will say, the breakfast I had today, I'm sitting at 415 calories, and it's just about 9 o'clock, 9:15. And I know, based on what I ate, I'm going to be full until 1 or 2 o'clock today. And I may not even really want to eat at 1 or 2 o'clock because I legitimately am absolutely not hungry in any capacity. And I will be almost forcing myself to eat at 2 o'clock. And then looking at 2 o'clock like, okay, I'll have to eat by like 6, 7. I don't like to eat that late, so I'll try to eat closer to 5:30 or 6, but then it'll be like, I'm not that hungry. So I am finding this carnivore with the extra meat and the extra fat is so satiating, I'm having trouble getting the calories in. If I can get to 1,300, 1,400, I'm like, yay, but there literally been the last 5 days, I have struggled to get even 1,200 calories. I don't know how people do OMAD where they just, I just literally at one sitting cannot eat that much food. I just can't do it. That's the one fear I have is I'm struggling getting enough calories. And I know that can tank progress. So I'm trying to find ways to get a little extra fat in my diet or a little extra. I mean, I even had to, because I just wasn't hungry. I couldn't force myself to eat more food yesterday. I was drinking butter water just so I could get a little extra fat in there because I'm just not hungry. Just not hungry. So I don't know if that will just level off eventually or what that is, but truly that has become, I don't know how to get the food in, especially if you try to do intermittent fasting. If you try to do a 16-8 and only eat an 8-hour window, I don't know that I would get enough food in that time. So then you're like, okay, I'll go back to a, 12, 13 hour fast, basically stop eating 5:30, not eat till like 7 the next day, and then have from 7 a.m. till 5:30 to eat. But even then, I'm trying to do that, but even then, I'm not that hungry, which is weird because I'm usually very hungry, but I'm not hungry. So maybe that's a good problem to have, bad problem, don't know. But so far, that's what I've discovered. Getting enough calories has posed a problem. Maybe it's because I am choosing leaner meats because I also am having, on top of not being able to get enough calories, the other problem I'm having is I am having a little problem with the fat. It's making me a smidge nauseous if I eat too much. So I'm trying to not eat a lot of extra fat so I can get used to it. So I'm still doing my leaner cuts of meat of chicken breast and, the 93% fat-free lean beef, ground beef. And I know everybody says, do more than that. But I'm like, you don't understand. My stomach is queasy if I get too much fat in there right now. And so I'm sticking with the leaner, trying to add like bacon fat or butter or even olive oil. And I'm struggling with that. So I'm going to have to play around, hope it'll work out. But I guess I should be faithful and trust God. It's like, don't be afraid, it'll work out. So that's where we are today on day 5, struggling to get enough calories and struggling to not feel slightly nauseous when I eat a little too much fat. So let's hope day 6 is a little better. But on the whole, I feel much better. And I'm happy to be doing this. So take care from JB's Brick Shack and Julia Carroll. Bye-bye.